I know this is the second day in a row that I'm talking about an anime that I watched. I did this yesterday with Sens to Be Hero. I gave my whole take on that. But I want to do it again today for this show because I just saw it and it was so good. I can't help but smile just thinking about it, like how much of a mind fuck it was whenever I finished watching the first episode. And the first episode of this show is also an hour long, just like Sens to Be a Hero. So I thought it was a pretty appropriate time to give my whole take on it. So the show I was watching was Playing Death Games to Put Food on the Table. It's based off a light novel with a manga adaptation. I didn't read any of those because I wanted to just go in fully blind, especially because the description of the show is very vague. It didn't really say anything about the show. It was just saying that these girls woke up in a house and they're going through these different traps and trials to escape, basically. That was pretty much the whole premise. I didn't get anything else out of that. And then I sat down and watched the first episode. And man, it was a big mind fuck. I was genuinely surprised of how well it turned out. I loved the art style. I think that was the biggest drawing point for me. It was like looking at a painting. It reminded me of the Monogatari series in a way where they have these different cuts for different scenes when they start up. So they had these numbers like out of 23, and every time a new scene popped up, it would change numbers to that. That was kind of interesting. It was a very abstract kind of show. It's like a thriller, psychological type horror deal with action. It's pretty cool. We don't see many of those types of shows that often, so it's really nice to see that they're coming out with one, and it got a premiere like that where it was an hour long. And when I saw the initial design for it, I thought it was going to be like a long series type thing where you would get to be with all these characters that you meet at the beginning and you get to go on for the whole season. And I was completely fucking wrong. This show is very brutal. It doesn't sugarcoat anything. People do die in this show, and it's a pretty gruesome sight to see. What made it kind of interesting was they didn't show any blood. I don't think that's how their world works. The premise is that they're being broadcasted to a bunch of people, so it's an escape room with an audience. But to deal with that barrier of an audience, they have this system in place where their blood is basically replaced by cotton. So it's not really graphic or anything, and if they lose a limb or something, they can just reattach it because that's how their system works. And even then, it was really brutal to see how someone was killed in a way. I won't go into spoilers of who died, but it was pretty fucking nuts. Kudos to the actresses who played those characters. They really sold their roles really well. And from beginning to end, I was just on my seat the whole time wondering who's gonna end up where and how it's gonna happen. It was a really good watch. I think a lot of people should watch it. It hasn't gotten that much traction from what I've seen. Everyone's more focused on the other stuff. It is done by Studio Dean. They have made some incredible works in the past, some not so incredible, but I think they really stepped up their game this one because the art style was just so freaking good. I cannot say enough how much I love the art style in the show. It goes straight from a regular anime to basically watching paintings move. That is very cool. And what's really interested me, it like kind of threw me for a loop, was that the main character, her name is Yuki. She's done all these things before. So it's essentially a death game where the survival rate is not that high. Like at least half of the players survive, usually about 5 people per play. And she's been doing this multiple times. When the first episode came up, she was on her 28th, and her goal in this whole entire thing is to finish 99 games, because this whole thing is very optional to the people who are playing it. They go into a small little detail whenever they first meet each other and why they played the game. You don't hear anything from Yuki, who's the main character, but you hear that some people were wanting to pay off debt, or they just were tired of their regular day-to-day job, so they wanted to do this instead. So Yuki is pretty much the professional here. She's the veteran. She's survived every single time, and she's just living off of that. So she gets into the swing of things, and she starts to kind of figure out how things work, and she realizes that stuff like life and death is very calculated. How you win, you survive, anything like that. It does not come down to luck at all. Luck is pretty irrelevant here, which is really interesting because you see that from time to time where some characters are playing favorites. And as soon as she sees that, she knows that not everyone's going to survive at that point because of the amount of time that was lost when completing a certain challenge. So that was a very interesting take on a character like that. I really, really like those kind of characters where it's just psychological mind games the whole way through. So it ends up with her finishing the game again, going through her 28th win, going back to the other games to do 99 other ones, and the themes change every single time. It's not just an escape room, it can be anything. So I'm looking forward to see how that goes. There's going to be different themes going on, going to be a whole new cast of characters with her pretty much at the center of everything, and she's just going to go in and try and win. It's a really cool system. I want to see how it plays out. If they keep this consistent with the art style and the way that it's going, I think it's a pretty good show. I think it'll be a very strong contender for a lot of people. If they give it the chance to watch it and, see what is going on in there, then maybe it'll pick up some more traction. But this was just a show I really, really want to talk about because it was just so interesting. So, yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it for me. Let me know what y'all think. Other than that, thanks for watching. Hope y'all enjoyed. I'll talk to you later. See ya.